How you doing, folks? Gotta clear my throat there. Gotta do another paint along. Or stream with Fritz, whatever I call it these days. I thought it was a paint along, but I don't think so. Yeah, I'm gonna work on some fancy ships. Clean them up. I got quite a few. So I'm gonna work on that. Got this guy all done and ready to go. I've actually played some games with him already. Tested him out. How you doing, Byron? The mighty Byron. How you doing, my friend? Did you get your sleep? Whew. Oh, I gotta put something on. I gotta have some noise here. Make some noise. Let's see here. What do I listen to today? A little Cannonball Adderley? Maybe some Skald or Danheim? Oh. I think I'll do my... Yeah, I think I'll do my, some Risa Taniguchi. Or Kiki Salva. Yeah, listen to some Kiki. Some techno. I couldn't think of the word. My brain is shot, man. It's shot. Oh. About to head into work soon. Okay, I'll be here. You can listen in while you're going to work. Still working at the same place, right? All this move going on. I guess you're moving to be closer to your work, right? Squirrel Hermitage. How you doing, Squirrel? Zadarak, I knew that was coming. How you doing, Zadarak? Not many folks here at the moment. Just started. Not that that makes a difference, but... Paving tonight. Jeez, you got the night shift, man. You're one of those guys that's 3 a.m. in the morning out there paving roads. Is that what you do? Are you out that late? I don't think you are. More like a second shift or something. Look at this cool ship. Isn't that a nice one? I had to upscale this. 1.5, so it's half as big again. Because it's actually kind of small. So it's 1.5 times its normal size of what it would be printed as. Which I also have models of. In fact, I did all these at 1.5. Pretty nice. The bases are a little tricky. I like these fancy ones like this that go up. So, but to really get a nice stable fit, I'm using some green stuff. As you can see up here, down here, kind of sculpted like a little edged thing. Give it some little added strength. Yeah, this is coming along good. I got about 15 ships that I want to actually paint up for a game with Jake and Jesse. Try some Void Admiral. Right there, see it? It's right there. Void Admiral, right there in the corner. Yeah. So we're going to do that. Got some other cool ships. Check this one out. Look at that one, Squirrel. Again, upscaled 1.5. I don't know, these ships kind of got a Klingon vibe. I like them. This is going to be a one of three ship squadron. These guys, got one of them on his base. This guy's my favorite. Battle cruisers. Looks like something slides in that back, but I don't think anything does. I was looking at that. Did I miss something I should have printed? But I don't think. They're all already sculpted. But I'll have another look, because you never know. There's like a conning tower or something in the back. Yeah, pretty nice. Ah, 3D printing. My newest thing. Here's what these bases look like. Too thin though. I don't know if I was losing some of the layers on it. It wasn't as fat as it should be. On some of them I know I did. But anyway, that's fine with me. No green stuff. And there's a couple other bases I could have done. There's these, which take a central peg. I don't know what that's for. I was going to scratch that off. But yeah, they take a central peg, but the pegs are too frickin' thin. So that's not going to work. And again, it's probably my end. Like I'm missing some of the layers. It's nice too, but I don't know. I'm going to go with these, I think. That's what they look like. They slide in the back. Kind of lock in there. You glue it. So yeah. There's a bunch of other ships I've got to clean up. I got about 15 in all. 12 to 14 hours. Blue-collar grunts are the salt of the earth. Just do the squirrel one solid. Stay safe. Yeah. Especially doing road work. Let me turn on my Jeeves. Yeah, I'll get it all figured. I'll tell you what, Squirrel. The resin printing especially, it's really easy to do. It's not complex or some crazy thing that you got to have all this extra knowledge on. It's actually really easy. The cleanup can be a pain in the ass. I'm finding that out. It is definitely messy. It's just something you got to do. It's a high maintenance thing. For sure. But the learning curve isn't that huge. I mean, I'm picking up on stuff. There's things you got to learn, but it's pretty easy. For somebody like me who deals with software all the time for all kinds of things, it's not that hard to navigate. And you learn these things trial and error. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. I'm liking it. The kind of resin I'm using is pretty damn good. I found out this morning it's like $16 for 1,000 grams, which is what I have. That's pretty cheap. So that's not bad. You guys want me to print something for you, just let me know. Did I clean this already? But I'll tell you, like I've said, and other people have said, it's a game changer. Once you realize you can pretty much find models for anything and just print them out. In the long run, it's cheaper. Yeah, that's pretty great. Game changer. Yeah, I bet, Byron. How long you got to drive? Is it a long haul? I wouldn't think it is. I guess it depends. The drive site. Thanks, Byron. Nothing special about them that I did, though. I just printed them. Get them cleaned up a little bit. It's mainly, the cleanup is mainly getting the little supports that hold these up when they're printed, because they print upside down, so they need supports. It's just cleaning up where the supports were. No big deal. Comes off relatively easy. A little bit of filing here and there. It's another ship done. I don't have bases for all these. Tomorrow, I think, or tonight or tomorrow, I'm going to print up a whole bunch more. I need like a dozen more of these bases. Yeah, I'm printing them in resin. I was going to use the FDM for it, but man, that would take so much longer. So screw it. I only need 15 in all. So I heard Byron played some War Machine. Yippee! That's been a while for you. I saw you there leaning into the table, looking at the game. It's like, yeah, wow. It has been a while. Byron, of course, is a master at War Machine, or he used to be. He's a master. So watch out. Jesse's going to be down in Mississippi on the 29th. He'll be down there for a few days. I forget where he said it was. I'll have to ask him again. He told me. But you know me, I don't in one ear and out the other. He's getting all set to move up here with me. Well, not with me. He's going to be in the other house. So there's a lot going on. What happened here? How you been, Squirrel? How has everything been? How has everything been? Why, I can't talk. Squirrel's gonna be heading back to work pretty soon. Boy, I didn't even realize it was Sunday. I'm a day or two behind. I had to do a double take when I looked at the calendar today. What is going on, man? What is this? How did I get paint on these? I had to drill holes in the bottoms of these things. They didn't have any. Nothing. Be nice if I had a little pin vise or something. I had to use my little Dremel, which put a hole that was way too big in them. But that's okay. Hence, that's why I'm using green stuff, right? It's a big hole there. Toot, 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 toot. I think I got it. So is Trench Crusade science fiction? I mean, doesn't it take place during the World War One, or I guess World War One never ended, so maybe it takes place in the future? That would make it sci-fi. An hour drive. Says Byron. God. Yeah, that'll make you numb. Be careful, Byron, when you're driving. Late at night, especially. It's so easy to fall asleep at the wheel, right? So easy. It's not just that, though. There's a lot of wackos on the road late at night. When you least expect it. I had one of my in-laws get decapitated in his car from a car wreck. It was a head-on collision with some teenagers on the highway late at night. It wasn't far from home either. It was on his way home. Late at night. Yep. Took his head clean off. Imagine that. Yeah, it's about the right temperature. I don't think I'm about 60 degrees here, though. It's in upper 50s. Ooh, Tuesday is the big day. You all set for that, Squirrel? Y'all prepared? Looking forward to it or no? You had a good time off, though. That's nice. You learn to appreciate things. Oh, geez, come on. I better look at this. Being summoned. Let me take a look. No, that's not me. I gotta take care of something here. I've been summoned. Let me look at the chat though. I think Squirrel said something there. Let me look. Something about the drive home. What did he say? Oh, it's Byron. Yes, I will be listening on the drive over. Yeah, you will. And just be safe on the way home. How's Rosemary? I imagine she's doing outstanding. Yeah, it is. I got some commissions to do. Some work. And I'm essentially taking this whole month off just I'm taking basically the month off just to get my hobby life in order, which is much needed. Much needed. Once that settles, I'll get back to doing some work on my commissions. Not much, I don't have a whole lot. I won't be doing it every session here. Since I am semi-retired. Isn't that great? From that, anyway. Because I have burned myself out, I think. To the point where I just lost touch with my hobby. Rosemary had a yard sale today. She did well, did she? Yeah? All right. Pulling in some money, getting rid of some stuff. Get rid of some stuff. That's the main reason, right? Just get rid of some stuff. Ripes. I gotta get a dumpster. So I gotta get rid of some stuff. I gotta get a dumpster. Yeah, pretty much get a dumpster. Should get a dumpster every year. Just a lot of stuff. Rosemary is looking forward to settling back into a rhythm. Oh, wait a minute, am I doing something? Yeah, I am. So she can work on her sister battle. We'll be working local, so oh, that's great. Zadarak, that's great. Let me turn on my Jeeves here. I have to take care of something. Are you a vegetarian? No. Are you a vegan? No way. I used to be when I was young. Yeah, that's what we're doing too. We're going to get a dumpster though. I'm going to get a dumpster, and I've got a ton of books I'm going to donate to the library. And the Goodwill is going to get quite a number of bags of clothes. So yeah, I'm in the same wagon. Well, that's great. I'm glad she made out pretty good. You guys are getting things done. I'm so happy for you. I can't wait till you get settled. I mean, you and Rosemary, fantastic. Byron in his big Panzer cap. Rosemary and her Beetlejuice. You guys are perfect. Fantastic. And Squirrel Hermitage and Zadarak. Zadarak bringing the loaves of bread. Squirrel Hermit perched high up on a tree limb, watching closely for intruders as he protects the nest and all the nuts therein. Donate, dumpster, burn pile. Yeah, that's sort of proper order right there. I definitely have to get a burn license here. There's way too many people around here. And yeah. I got enough stuff back there. I got right on our dump. We have a dump here on the property. Right in the back. It's usually pretty nice, you know. It's a coal ash dump. But I got so much stuff back there from the house and the other house and the other house that's just junk that I intend to put into the dumpster. So I've got it all organized and set up back there. Some of it you could bag up and take in the garbage. Some of it's going to go right in the dumpster and clean that all out back there. I've been doing that for a couple of years now, actually. Getting it ready for the dumpster. Problem is I keep adding to the pile. Pecans. What, do you put the pecans on the top? What else did you Sounds good, Paul. How you doing, my friend? Let me go back to the chat and see what Zaddy said. Banana, coconut, and pecan bread. Coconut. Oh, I love coconut. Bananas. I love bananas, as you all know. That sounds pretty good, Zadarak. Good down-home cooking there at the Hermitage. Tuna noodle. Tuna noodle casserole. Oh, it's been a while since I've had that. A long time. What do you put on the top? You put a little added texture on the top? What do you use for your toppings on the tuna casserole? Come on, spit it out, Zadarak. What do you got there? Secrets. My OBS had a hiccup. Hopefully we're still here. Oh. Crushed crackers with butter. Okay. That's all. I'm just fat. Tuna casserole is really good. You should look it up online, Paul. It's very simple to make. Tuna and pasta, creamy, cheesy. Huh. Hold on, folks. I gotta finish this off. I've been summoned for a few minutes. La-da-da-da-da. Oh, I'm yawning. Oh, God. There's a channel, Paul, on the server, the Discord server. It's a channel, and it's called Homesteading and Food Porn. Because those are big topics here on the community, for us anyway. And we put all kinds of stuff in there. Pictures of food we're eating, recipes, homesteading stuff like canning and preserves and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, feel free to post anything like that over there too. But go over there and check it out. There's some great recipes. Yeah. I don't know how much you're into cooking. Or homesteading, for that matter. Yeah, it does. I noticed that. Pass stuff. Yeah, and it's a little dinner plate saucer type of thing. Yeah. Oh, jeez. Okay. Boom. Got that out of the way. Now I gotta make a mad dash to the John here. Been drinking coffee all day, Byron, all day. Getting out of control here. Yeah, be right back. Stand guard, Zedarak. I know you're looking for that recipe. Hold on. Okay, I'm back here. Let me read this. Say corn instead of porn. Fritz, you paint a lot. Looks like you have egg yolks. To avoid AI YouTube censors. Yeah, that's true. I tend to forget about that stuff. I'm quickly slapping on some extra paint and finish off and neaten up. Neaten. There's a word. Is that a word? Neaten? Neaten. I gotta look that up. Neaten. Neaten. Let me look that up. Neatening. Neaten. It is. Make neat. Arrange in an orderly, tidy way. Neaten. Neatening. So there you go. Neaten is actually a word. It's a verb. Make neat. Arrange in an orderly, tidy way. Neaten. Neaten up 10 very old plastic Skaven slaves for my player to match the current 60 we have. Nice, very nice. That'll turn it into 70 strong horde. That's a huge unit. Do you put that as probably a couple of units, right? His slave units, it will equal 70 slaves, 36 slaves and 36 slaves. Okay, he answered the question. He is going for numbers and flesh, not steel. All right, makes sense. Everybody stand back. Patricia Benjamin has entered the household. James Earl Jones proved flesh was stronger than steel back in the original Conan movie. Dun, dun, dun. That was Conan the Destroyer. Yes, the original Conan. James Earl Jones passed away last year, didn't he? Yeah, he did. What a shame. Ah, the cycle of life. Oh, I gotta lay off drinking this coffee. It's going through me. I haven't really eaten. So here's this guy, in case you're curious. I finished him. He's all sealed and everything else. I played a couple games with him already. Yeah, so there he is. Not too bad. Mostly speed paints. Yeah, it looks pretty good for a straightforward, no frills type of guy. Yeah, I'm happy with them. So I did a little reading on these guys. Now, if you don't know, the Warpath universe, of which the games Dead Zone and Firefighter set within. These guys, I can't remember the name of them, and the book ain't next to me. These are like big lizard dudes, okay? With spikes and scales all over their body. Kind of green colored, all right? And they have almost like a Asian feel and theme to them. Their names and stuff like, you know, they talk like that, I would assume. Little Japanese samurai there, right? And you can see it in the way they look with their armor. The masks, they have those masks that you see in Japan. So they got that going on. The names of their characters and units also have that going on. So they definitely got a cool cultural background, right? These lizard dudes. Now these guys are closely allied to the Asterians. Now the Asterians, of course, are Warpath's space elves. It's their Eldar, if you will. Okay? These guys are allied to them. So, that's a little bit about them. They're big husky fellows, slow and honorable they are. And yeah, they can also form their own sub-faction too. The riddle of steel is replaced with the riddle of numbers. 70 plus 36 plus 36, 142. Come on! That's a good number of slaves. Yes, it is. Well said, Paul. Well said. That really is a good number. Yeah, that is. Of course, in Warhammer, that's the name of the game. It's all about pinning those units. Pinning the enemy. Something Undead are really good at doing, if their magic works. And Skaven, with their hordes of cheap slaves and warriors. Just hordes of them. I always liked the Skaven. I played them only once in my life. What is this? That can't be part of the turret. Let's get that off of there. Don't know know what that was. Shouldn't be anything to clean up on the top of the ship. Mostly supports and stuff. That's what I'm looking for. So how you doing, Patricia? How is everything? Hope all is well. Yeah, that looks good. Give it a little brush, clean it up. Either tomorrow or tonight I'll actually print up the remainder of the bases that I need. And we'll get them all based. We just got to prime them up. I got all the files, play sheets, QRS, roster sheets for Void Admiral, as well as Dead Zone. I just went to town printing up stuff yesterday. 3D printing and paper printing. It was a printer day. That looks good. Bone chilling. There's another ship. Can you guys see the camera? I'm kind of laying it in here. Gala. How do you pronounce it? There's that little thing in the back of this one too. Get out of here. For some reason it likes to print that little default. Default? Defect. Looks like a defect. Okay. Egg yolks. Just need to give them their beady red eyes tomorrow and some white claws on their fingers and toes, and they will look almost indistinguishable from the original 60. Awesome. There you go. Why don't you post a picture? I'll take a look at them. So I've recently been quite taken by a set of rules that's been around for a long time now. Osprey Publishing produces it. It's not part of the Blue Book line. It's a separate full-on hardcover series. I've never looked into it. It's been out for a long time, and it's coming out in a second edition. I think it's going to be available in June. And it's called Burrows and Badgers? Or is it Badgers and Burrows? I've known about this game for a long time. It's one where you're playing, humanoid animals, that type of thing. Based on the old stories. Kids' stories from back in the day. Paul might know what I'm talking about. Lords of the Otherwen. I'll tell you what, though, if you get into a game like that, and there's role-playing games like that too, you'll never see rodents the same again. You'll be changed. They're pretty good games, though. Really thematic, and I always get into that. I love narrative-type games, narrative-based storytelling games. I love that. That's why I like role-playing. And if you watch any of my battle reports, you'll see that I'm very much into the narration and the narrative and the story that is unfolding on the tabletop. That's why I play these things. It's a big reason why. So I'm quite taken by this. I'm going to pick up the rules. That'll be something else I'm going to try. I think Jake might get into it. Because, yeah. I was into that stuff. Never played games of it. I was into that stuff way back. Maybe even the 80s. There was a game called Bunnies and Burrows. It was a role-playing game. It was really popular at the conventions and stuff, and it was essentially the same kind of thing, but it's a role-playing game. It was published by I can't think of the name of the company. Might even be able to still get it. I doubt it, but yeah. Can't remember the name of the company. Role-playing games. Fantasy Flight? Fantasy Flight? No, that's not it. They were the makers of Chivalry and Sorcery, RPG, Privateers and Gentlemen, that RPG, Flashing Blades, that RPG, as well as some miniatures games like Biremes and Galleys and things like that. I can't think of the name of the company. But yeah, they produced it, I think. It was called Bunnies and Burrows. Let's clean this off. This was a test piece. Right over there. There, they're all cleaned up. My hands are covered in resin. GM Cody. Servus. GM Cody. Good to see you. Master of Trench Crusade. Building terrain forward, I see. Looking good, looking good. Very creative. Who needs a 3D printer? Come on. All you need is some cardboard and foam. Go to town. Make some trenches. That part of the hobby will never disappear. 3D printing be damned. Because that's part of our hobby, right? Miniatures gaming. That's part of our hobby. The crafting side of it is part of the whole thing, right? You don't really do it necessarily out of necessity. You also kind of do it because it's nice, it's fun, it's good stuff, and above all, it personifies, it personalizes your own collection, your hobby, which I'm a big proponent of. Personalization. We're all different. Patricia chimes in. A local creator made a wrestling minigame called Smackdown. Smacked, past tense. Smacked down. First big event happens on Tuesday. Looks about as high budget as Void Admiral. So I'm expecting a lot of silliness. For a wrestling game. Yeah, there's so many good indie games out there. That's the future. That's the future, Patricia. That is the future. Making stuff is fun and satisfying. It is. Yeah, wrestling games are pretty cool. I remember the old Avalon Hill game, Wrestling. I played that. And I'm quite interested in a game that's out nowadays, quite popular in its own little community, called Rumble Slam. A few folks here have heard me talk about it before, as well as some other members of the community. That looks really fun. I mean, you can bounce off the ropes to get boosts to your attack. Yeah, it's really creative. And it's a miniatures game. So yeah, I'm keen on watching some bat reps on that by my good friend Minnie Warmut. Yep, do it the old way. You know, even if you have a printer, you don't ever want to stop making your own stuff. I mean, I'm not stopping. I just love being creative and making my own stuff. It's so easy, and it's just so, like you said, satisfying to put those hills and roads, some buildings. Occasionally I do my own building out of cards and stuff. I mean, it's fun to 3D print, but, you know, it kind of takes away from the craftiness of it all, doesn't it? Look at this one. Isn't that a nice one? So that's what I got so far. I'll put some of these ships on these two bases. I gotta print more bases tomorrow. Jake saw these and he's like, oh, I want one. You'll have more than one. I'll make sure of it. We're gonna play some Void Admiral. I read the rule books. I think it was last night. Yesterday I read both the rule books. Well, the rule book and the supplement. Straightforward, easy game based on Battlefleet Gothic. And I was reading the factions, and it's so obvious that they're 40k factions. They just renamed them, and there's still there's the Loyalists. The Loyalists represent the Imperium, not the Space Marines, but the Imperium forces. The next faction is called the Renegades, and you know who that is. Chaos. And you can see it. It's right in there. But it doesn't have to be. They made it in such a way that these factions could represent anything. You know, other humans, other aliens that you make up. But you could definitely use Void Commander to fight out Battlefleet Gothic games. Kind of like Warfleets with one-page rules. Or anything you want. That's kind of what I'm doing. I'm kind of using these as just whatever, you know, generic stuff. There's a faction called the Ancients, which are obviously the Eldar. There's a faction called the Brutes, which are obviously the Orcs. There's another one called the Cyborgs, which are obviously, I mean, you just read them and the names and it's how they work, these fleets. And you'll see that the Cyborgs are essentially the Necrons. It's very cool. Highly recommend it. You can pick up the rules for like $6-7 on Amazon. I mean, what an easy to get into game. You can do whatever you want. It's miniatures agnostic. And it's got that old school feel of Old Hammer. So definitely recommend it. It's a massively updated version of Battlefleet Gothic, is what it is. Rumble Slam. Have you played it, GM? Cody? I have a stack of stuff I have yet to assemble and paint for it. Ah, you got it. All right. Patricia says, my wife has 4 3D printers. All right, so there you go. 2 are out of commission. The other 2 are usually hard at work making OPR minis. 2 new battle forces, a new war fleet, terrain, bases, and more, all for $10 a month. Yeah, you get 50% off the price of everything else. As well as how many models do you get every month? 50 plus models? And updates to the various rules and stuff for free. Yeah, One Page Rules has a great... Well, it's a Patreon thing, but you get a lot for that $10. It's one of the best ones out there for what you get. Actually, you actually get too much. That's what you get. Come on. Ships look awesome, says GM Cody. How are the rules? Squirrel Hermit says, Cody, Squirrel, what's up? Played it a bit. Spaceships. Yes, Ryan, my good friend. The rules are pretty straightforward. Covers everything from ramming to boarding actions, as well as straight up fire. It's D6 system based on the type of weapon you're utilizing. There are 3 types of weapons used in the game, which basically categorize everything you could imagine into one of these 3 types of weapons, okay? There are cannons. There is the cannons category of weapons. Now, that includes all kinds of stuff. The main function of cannons is to take out the enemy's shields and batter the enemy's hull. But you really want to take out the shields of the enemy ships with the cannons, all right? That's what they do. They're your hard-faced shells, that kind of thing, all right? Think about the Imperium in 40K with their broadsides of cannons. That's what it represents, okay? The second type of weapon available to all fleets is the lasers, okay? This would be the lances of the Imperium. Lasers, essentially, okay? The next kind of weapon type is torpedoes and missiles. All right, that's everything else. So all your weapons fall into one of those categories. Now, aircraft bays, not aircraft, fighter bays, ships can also have them. I'm not going to go into how fighters work, but it's a really elegant, easy way of handling fighters. They essentially function as informational tokens. Ships with fighter bays can generate every turn a number of fighter tokens. I call them tokens. You put them next to the ship. These tokens can be used to attack other ships within a certain range. I think it's 18 inches. Or protect ships, friendly ships that are close by from missile and missile type fire or aircraft fire. I call them aircraft. That kind of thing. That's how they work in the game. And they're just tokens, and if they fight, there's die rolls involved. What am I missing? There's another type of attack form. What is it? But anyway, these three weapon systems basically have a very similar mechanic on how you resolve their fire. But the numbers you need and the specific modifiers involved can be different. Like, for instance, range does not impact the use of lasers. Whether they're at short range or long range is kind of irrelevant with laser weapons. But with cannons, there are modifiers for that. But yeah, that's how that works. And again, there's ramming and there's boarding. There is also terrain effects where you can hide in clouds of dust and all that kind of thing. What else? The turn sequence is you roll. Here's the thing. Let me mention this. This is what makes the game really fun. At the start of every turn, both sides will roll d6. 6d6. It could be more, it could be less, but at the very first turn of the game, it's going to be 6d6. These are like command dice in Dead Zone and Firefight. Or Saga. If you've played Saga, these dice that you roll can be allocated to your command board. All right? Your command board lists 6 special things that your faction can do. And your command dice that you roll every turn applies to one of those specific abilities. Like maybe a 1 allows you to recharge shields quickly. You know, maybe a 6 represents an extra broadside for your faction. Every faction has 6 special abilities that are different, and they're listed on your command board. And when you fight a battle, you'll have access to a command board which represents your faction. So you roll those 6 dice at the start of every turn. Well, at the beginning of the game you do. And you put them. Okay, the 6 goes here. Here's another 6. Here's a 1. That goes there. A 2. That goes there. A 3 goes here. And another 3 goes here. So that gives you abilities to do during the turn. Now, at the conclusion of a turn, any dice that haven't been used can be re-rolled for the next turn or can be kept on your command board. All right, so if they're really good and you want to use them again, they're still there. It's very much like Saga, if you've played Saga. Okay? You can typically never roll more than 6d6. So, yeah, so that's what you're going to be rolling. And that's what makes this game so unique and pretty cool, how you use your faction's special abilities. I like those kind of mechanics. Dead Zone kind of does that with its command dice. So that's the highlight of the rules, what makes them really unique. It has that command board thing going on. Oh, so yeah, we'll leave it at that. Come on, GM Cody, they're under $7. Get yourself a copy. It's good to have on the collection. And there's a supplement called Renegade Warfleets or something. Pick that up too. It's got an FAQ in it, adds a ton more factions and more scenarios and other good stuff. So yeah. Just look it up on Amazon. Void Admiral. Squirrel has no interest. He's not a sci-fi man. Right, Squirrel? You just can't take it. What is this sci-fi silliness? He's all fantasy. He'll play a game of sci-fi, but I guess it's not his thing. I'm really into sci-fi lately. Got an injury on my thumb here. I'm trying to figure out what that's from. Maybe I should rub some resin in it. Living on the edge. GM Cody's buying it right now. There you go. That's what I wanted to hear. For as cheap as it is, grab it. Support indies. Support indies. As much as you can. Traveler. Yeah, there's Traveler. Traveler's really good. It's epic. I'm a big fan. Hope to play my campaign someday. That's true. You do play some Traveler. What is that? I don't know where I got heard of Void Admiral. It was either on the Musty Wargamers or somebody was talking about it like a month or two ago. And I'm always on the lookout for space games. I finally looked it up on YouTube or something. Watched some videos as we do. And said, yeah, I can check this out. So I went on Amazon and bought it immediately. Having a 3D printer allows you to go above and beyond to support independent games. Yeah, I know, right? I've been thinking a lot about that. I think it's... Now, as a historical gamer, we've always been miniatures agnostic. It's the nature of the hobby. A few companies today, like Warlord Games and Battlefront Miniatures, they produce rules and miniatures to go along with their games. But for the most part, and since the beginning, historical miniatures gaming has always been miniatures agnostic. You use what you want. Like if you're a Napoleonics player, you might have manufacturers like Perry's and Warlords or Essex or whoever, Victrix, and have a mix of miniatures representing your armies. The French, the Austrians, the Russians, whatever. And there's nothing wrong with it. That's how it works. And then along comes companies like Games Workshop and kind of change the nature of the hobby in a way. By at least later on in the late 80s and all through the 90s, the idea of the box set of miniatures. Well, the boxed game, I should say. They sold miniatures for Warhammer previous to that. But it wasn't really built on what we know as Warhammer and 40K today. It became something. And all of a sudden, other companies, like Privateer Press, I think it is, that made War Machine, the idea of creating a game where miniatures were a big part, specific miniatures were a big part of the product that was being produced, like Warhammer and 40K and War Machine, and many other games during the 90s and the 2000s. You see it all over the place with sci-fi and fantasy gaming. Games with their own line of miniatures. Like even today, games like Oathmark, essentially a miniatures agnostic game, still has an official line of miniatures. It's kind of like a nice to have but not necessary type of thing. It's not built as part of the game of Oathmark. You don't have to use them, but there is an official line, whatever that means. You know, they're kind of like separate companies doing this, North Star and Osprey. Same thing with Stargrave. It's essentially a miniatures agnostic sci-fi game. My point here is that all of a sudden we're seeing the more commercial sci-fi and sci-fi and fantasy games go from being these, we give you everything and this is the miniatures you got to use with this, to now it's going more miniatures agnostic. And you see this a lot with the indie games that are coming out, which is kind of like coming back to where it all began with historical gaming and being miniatures agnostic. And it's great to see. It's wonderful being miniatures agnostic. Just give me the bare bones of some factions, little setting fluff, and then keep the rules miniatures agnostic, and then just let me be creative. And or not. What it really lets you do is use whatever you find is looking cool in your game, like what I'm doing here. So I think it's a great thing. Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about here. I'm kind of ranting again. It's Byron's fault. He got me talking about it. 3D printing. 3D printing is making it more a thing too. The fact that you can print anything, any kind of models you really like, kind of really strengthens the idea of playing miniatures agnostic type of games, right? And I think the Old Hammer community, for instance, is part of that as well. Because now you're not required to play with GW figures, because there's so many other manufacturers and STL artists who are creating figures themed on Warhammer, themed on 40K and the Grim Dark, that you literally could play Warhammer with any figures. You really don't need GW's figures to play them. And that's one of the central themes of Old Hammer, you know? And not only that, but the Old Hammer rules are their own thing now as well, you know? Not everyone that plays old school Warhammer plays 3rd edition Warhammer, or 4th edition, or 5th edition, with all the FAQs and chronicles and expansions and annuals that were produced at the time. Some people go beyond that and play some community-supported or created games based heavily on those original games, like Ninth Age, which is heavily based on Warhammer, and Warhammer Renaissance, which is based on specific editions of Warhammer as well, or one-page rules, essentially. Their lineup of games is all based on 40K or Warhammer, or Age of Sigmar in the case of Age of Fantasy. You can see what's going on here. This is a thing. So it all fits together. This miniatures agnostic, old school OSR, Old Hammer stuff. That's the end of my rant. Diatribe, whatever you want to call it. Next session for the table will be Dawn of Worlds. Oh, Dawn of Worlds. What is that? Dawn of Worlds. What's going on with that, squirrel? Just got the sci-fi companion for Savage Worlds. Oh, did you? It's got like the tropes from Wookiees and Space Marines to the Borg, Xenomorphs. It's got all the tropes. Well, that's nice. You're a big fan of Savage Worlds? I am. I didn't get the sci-fi companion. You could do so much with Savage Worlds. Jim Cody. Fellow historical gamer. What period rules are you into? Oh, me? I've been a historical gamer since the 80s. It's huge. It's my main interest. Let me get back to you in a minute. Let me read the thing here. Savage Worlds, in my opinion. Okay. Nordic Maelstrom, how you doing? How you doing, Nordic? Thought I would drop in and see how you are doing. Badgers and Burrows, Burrows and Badgers. Been talking a little bit about that. I know you're a fan. Byron says, continue talking about it. I don't think it's a rant. I think you're just describing the status of the industry. Pretty much. I never found the rules of 40k Warhammer AOS appealing. Age of Sigmar. Even the Middle-earth miniatures game rules didn't work for me. Well, that's okay. We don't have to find it appealing. We're all different. It's very subjective, this hobby of ours. GM Cody, keep up the rants. It's good stuff. GM Cody likes it. He pulls out the popcorn. I feel like we are taking miniatures games back and think it's I do too. I am so much into this idea of making our hobby more a niche thing again. I don't like having it be so popular and mainstream like it's become. It's not. It shouldn't be that way. This hobby should never be mainstream. That includes role playing. This is nerdy stuff, man. And should always be that way. Anyway, that's another topic I can rant on. Patricia chimes in. What can I say? I prefer fast, furious, and fun over dying mid-character creation. But it's still fun. Dying is the funnest part of RPGs. Nordic says, I have some miniatures that will arrive tomorrow. I ordered a box of minis from the Fallout Wasteland Warfare game. What's that company? Modifius. Riley's Rangers, to be precise, from Fallout. Well, that's good. You're going to do some painting. Fun things about Savage Worlds, though, is you can yeet all the RPG stuff out and you're left with a semi-decent miniatures war game. Oh, yes. Well, you do know that RPG is based on the miniatures rules for Rail Wars. Right? You know that, Patricia. I think we discussed this before. So the core of Savage Worlds is a miniatures war game. And admittedly, I do like that about Savage Worlds. I love miniatures. I love miniatures in my RPGs. I just do. Don't need them. But miniatures is always... I love miniatures. Okay? We'll leave it at that. I'm a very visual person. So for some people, miniatures are a distraction to the RPG experience. Not me. Okay? Not me. I am actually immersed even more when I can stand back and see my hero at the mouth of the cave entrance. To see it and to reach down and touch the figure is more immersive to me than just picturing it in my head. But not everybody's like that. It's one reason I'm a miniatures wargamer. And I'm going to get back to my favorite historical miniatures periods in a minute here. I'm trying to catch up on the chat. Traveler is the best tabletop RPG ever made. I will die on that hill. Yes, you will, Nordic. I'll bring the shovel. Niche is setting, boundaries, vetting, gatekeeping. I will die on that hill. And I agree with you, Squirrel. I agree completely. All right. I found the miniatures to be a major distraction for tabletop RPGs. Bad experiences with that. Well, there you go. See? Very subjective. Patricia chimes in. Everybody stand back once again. I didn't know about Rail Wars. I got this from discovering Savage Showdown, the mini wargame version of Savage Worlds from like 15 years ago. Yeah. So, back in the 90s, Deadlands and Wasteland, whatever it was called, that was a thing that Pinnacle Entertainment did. That was their big game, the Deadlands game. And they were totally different independent games from what we know and love now. You can still get those games. They're known as Deadlands Classic. But anyway, in Deadlands, they had a miniatures version that was a war game where two people would get together and play with their factions. And all the factions from Deadlands were represented in this miniatures game. And it was called The Great Rail Wars. And it was a literal boxed set you could buy with metal miniatures that you could paint, cardboard, 2D terrain, rules out the wazoo. And it had a ton of expansions and scenario books and everything. And it was called The Great Rail Wars. All right? But here's what happened. The system in Great Rail Wars was so good and versatile, they realized, this is Pinnacle, they realized that, hey, we could make this into an RPG. And not only did they attempt that, but they did that and they made it generic. So all their game system lines that they produced at the time were converted to Savage Worlds, including Deadlands. And being a generic system as they had hoped, now they do all these other things, including licensed settings as well. And it's called Savage Worlds. And it's already gone through several editions using the core mechanics from Rail Wars. Can you imagine that? How fantastic is that? So, yes, at the heart of Savage Worlds is a miniatures war game. And a pretty good one. Well, I just stopped to say hello. Hello. And see how you were doing. I have to get going. I shall catch you all later. Take care, Nordic Maelstrom. Glad to hear from you, man. Keep strong, man. Keep the faith. Patricia says, I'm against gatekeeping in almost all its forms. Now, that's where I would disagree with you as well, Patricia. But I understand. And you're welcome to that view. But I literally, if I don't gatekeep my RPG group, it's no longer my RPG group. And I've always said that RPGs are for everybody, but not every table is for everybody. And that's the truth. Every table is different, and that's the nature of role-playing games. We should never conform to a single set of rules, nor should we conform to a single way of playing the game. Otherwise, it's not our hobby of role-playing games. It's always different. Different experiences, different focuses with each table. And that's the truth I go by. So as a GM who loves his group and his little community of his table that he's created, I'm telling you, Patricia, I am one of the most fortunate people around to have found some of the greatest folks to play RPGs with in my life. And we all know how difficult it is to find the right people to really vibe with at the RPG table. It's hard. And I'm very protective of who I let into my little RPG sessions because they might not fit. I vet people. I bring them in. I give them a chance. But man, even Max wasn't a good fit at the time with the group. And I had to get rid of him. He'll say I threw him out. I didn't throw him out, but I made adjustments. But you gotta, because it will literally ruin your game. When you've got people that vibe like we vibe, yeah, you kind of get a little protective. So I am totally into the idea of gatekeeping, period, just because of that. At least my game table. And that's okay. That's my opinion. Take it with a grain of salt. Laugh at it, whatever. That's fine. Again, we're all different. And that's okay. There's plenty of room on this planet for all of us, folks. We can all have different views. Okay? Can we all just get along? Remember that guy from back in the 80s, the riots in L.A.? What was his name? I can't even remember. He was well known for that. Can't we all just get along? That was a famous saying back then. Give me a second. I'll catch up on the chat. Patricia's going to tell me what for in a second here when I get back. All right, give me a chance to hit the John. There we go. Ah, much better. Amen, says the Squirrel Hermitage. Absolutely agrees, Adarak says. Byron says, I like when you go into the history of games and the companies behind them and the development of these games and how they evolve and survive to our day. Thanks, Byron. I guess that's why I'm here, really. I use miniatures in all my tabletop RPG games, says Big Small. Warhammer Fantasy, Star Wars, and Traveller, figures and scenery, 3D building interiors, whole villages and city streets, tunnels and caves, etc., etc. I wish I could do that. It would be nice. Hi, Nordic. Nordic left already. I got into RP roleplay and war games as I emerged from playing with toy soldiers in my very early teens. I think most of us did. Patricia chimes in. Here it is. Get ready. Sure, we can all get along as long as you're on that side of the gate and I'm on the other side. Okay, there it is. There it is. Patricia has laid it out. All right, so there you go. Lines have been drawn. There's a reason why we have fences and walls in life. There you go. There you go. I enjoy big, small world stuff. As do I. He's got good stuff. He tells a good tale. He tells a good narrative, I should say. It shows you what you can do with even just a miniatures game to get those narratives going. You know, a lot of people that play miniatures war games don't really focus as much on the narrative. I mean, yeah, it's got a reason for the scenario, whatever, reason for certain things, but they're all so much pulled into the game, they miss the stories that are unfolding. Which is a shame. But I love narrative in my games, and I'm always scanning for it. These little heroic last stands and brave moments, you know, as the games unfold, or the battles unfold. I don't like to use the term game, because they're battles. But yeah, historical miniatures I've played. I've been into Ancients. I played in, I've had many armies. 15 millimeter was my scale. I collected numerous armies of feudal English, Spartans, Polybian Romans, Gaul, Seleucids, Byzantine, Nicophorians. Did a lot of Ancients gaming. Wargame Research Group. Played a lot of DBA. Played a lot of DBM. Nowadays, I'm big into Triumph. Set of rules for ancient medieval gaming. Big fan of those. Plan to play them at the con, Historicon, the coming years. Got into World War II gaming with Flames of War. Big fan of World War II games. I've played so many different World War II games that are fantastic. Battle Group, O Group, Flames of War 3rd edition, a little bit of 4th edition. I think I've played them all. I can't remember them all. So many different games, but Battle Group, Flames of War are some of my favorites. Panzer Grenadier and O Group, some of my favorites. And that was 15 millimeters that I played with. What else did I do? Napoleonics. I'm huge into Napoleonics, particularly the 1812 and on era. I don't consider 1815 to be Napoleonics. I'm sorry, I don't. So 1812 to 1814 is my era when it comes to Napoleonics. Mainly the Imperial Russians and French armies, as well as the minor states like Saxony. And them I collected, and whatever. Did a lot of wargaming with that in 10 mil. Yeah, that's the big stuff that I've done. Then I sold it all off, so I'm essentially starting all over. I still got some 15 mil armies, a lot of unpainted stuff that I'm going to get to. I'm back into Flames of War again. Starting to collect miniatures for it. The kittens are coming along wonderfully. I'm surprised I haven't done more with historicals, actually. Play a lot of historical board games, that's for sure. GMT all the way, brother. SPQR, Great Battles of the History series, Great Battles of the American Civil War series. Huge fan of those. Yeah, now that I think about all this stuff, I don't know what else I've done historically with miniatures. A lot of Ancients. I mean, there's a lot of periods I started, but I never did, like American War of Independence. I still got painting projects on my shelf for that. But currently, and that's what the most important thing is, my interest historically is I'm back in the Flames of War and 15 millimeter World War II. Going to be doing that again. I've already started collecting 28 mil World War II, Warlord games, games more of a platoon level type of battle, like Chain of Command and Bolt Action. Perfect examples of what I'm going to do with that. My favorite period in history ever is the pre-Marlburian era, the Williamite type wars in Ireland, the Jacobites and all that stuff. I'm currently working on collecting models in 28 mil for that, using cloth flags. I'm going all out with that. My ideal set of rules for that era is Beneath the Lily Banners. So that's a current project. My Ancients in 15 mil and 28 mil using Triumph rules. Maybe some other rules as well, of course, because that's what we do. So yeah, there's that project. And a lot of smaller things. A lot of skirmish type games that are historical and not so historical are going on as well, which I won't mention because there's too many. But yeah. I played every era, but my big thing has been the American Civil War and Napoleonics. Oh, really? All right, awesome. I've had armies for both periods in about every scale. Unfortunately, I sold most of my painted armies off at last year. Yep, done the same thing. I have no regrets, though. Now I have a chance to start over. Do things a little different. So I see it as a positive. No problemo. Crossfire was another set of World War II rules I thought was pretty freaking good. If you ever played that, it's genius. It's a game that doesn't use measuring tape measures. That was really fun. What else did I do? It's like I played, mostly I played Ancients, Medieval, World War II. That's where the bulk of my actual collecting, painting, and gaming was in. Some naval stuff. I played some Russo-Japanese naval games, and all this stuff is on my channel. If you're ever curious, Cody, check out my older videos. There's playlists for all these different games I've played, and they're fantastic stuff. If you like historical war games, I did so many great battle reports and some live plays where I've played online with people in the community. I was one of the pioneers when it comes to that. Come on. Nobody was doing that stuff back then. Yeah. Good fun. And it's cool to get back into it again. You know, just the other day I was sitting here thinking about that. I have left the hobby and came back to the hobby 4 times. And I'm talking mainly miniatures wargaming. 4 times I've left the hobby and come back. After a long, we're talking years being away and coming back to it. I consider the latest time, the 4th time, to be right now. Because I have not been involved with miniatures wargaming for at least 5 years. My last battle report, I remember it. I can't believe it's been that long ago. And the main reason I got out of it and ended up selling all my stuff was because, well, I got into commission painting for one, and I had to sell stuff. Just, you know, you got to survive and put food on the table. But that's when I started focusing heavy on role-playing games. But, yeah, now, just right now, I'm coming back to miniatures as we speak. Right, Iron Man? He knows the story. He's been listening to me babble on for a long time about this. Sword in the Flame. Yeah, I started a club. Local club here. In 2000, something like that. It was only in existence for 3 years or something. But I started a club, me and Jesse, and we had about 24 people in it at the time. My good friend Robert Bichetto, who joins the chat occasionally, he knows all about it. He was a member. And we hosted all kinds of historical focused games, miniatures games, like a little mini con every 2 weeks at the game store. We'd have about 3 or more games every weekend. And I had a chance to play a lot of games back then. I was doing American Civil War Skirmish. I did that too. I forgot about that. That was another one, 28 mil. We had all kinds of games. So that gave me a chance to play a lot of different things. Oh yeah, I did the Old West shootout stuff. I did that as well. So yeah, there was other things I was doing at the time. I don't consider you leaving the hobby if you're just building and painting stuff for the hobby. That's not leaving the hobby to me. To me, my hobby of miniatures wargaming disappeared for 5+ years. So I effectively left the hobby. I was painting stuff for other people, commission painting. and playing role-playing games. That was my hobby. And my heart just wasn't in miniatures gaming at the time anymore. It was hard for me to take the time away from commission painting and just work on my own stuff. And it wasn't until years later, up to where I am now, that holy smokes do I miss it. It's just like a void. Because to me, miniatures gaming is probably the number one part of my hobby. Above board games, above role-playing games. Specifically, historical miniatures gaming has always been my main interest, and still is, really. And that was really affecting my commission painting, because I felt like this was becoming a job rather than an enjoyable endeavor, a business that I'm running. I felt like I'm working for the man at this stage. So, yeah, I was at that point because I'd lost touch with my hobby. What I enjoy the most about this miniatures wargaming hobby didn't exist anymore. I was still painting, but it's not mine. You know, I'm not going to be able to play games with any of this. I could, but, you know. And then the figures are gone and sent away. Granted, I love painting, but that's almost a separate part of the hobby altogether. But anyway. I played a bunch of Civil War as well, says Iron Man, but didn't have the figures in our group. Those other guys played at the Steve and Steve's. Played at the Steve and Stevie's. Steve and Stevie's? What is that? 19th century miniatures too. I have been out of the miniatures games for a couple of years, really. It's been so refreshing to get back into it. I hear you. I feel like a little kid again. Getting back into the hobby for the first time. That's what I feel like right now. Literally. And I'll tell you, when I sit down and start painting like these guys I've been working on, I mean, it just feels so good to be back at it and painting stuff for myself. Going at my own pace and taking my time and enjoying the various techniques for painting them. And then putting them on the table and playing with them. Oh, man. It feels so good. That's why I'm in this hobby. Looking ship shape, says Clyde. Dashing. How you doing, Clyde? One of our pillars in the community. Clyde Dashing, everybody. Clyde. Haven't seen you around, Clyde. Where you been, man? Getting these ready for some Void Admiral. Probably not this weekend, but the week after, I think. Just some 3D printed ships. For my miniatures agnostic game, Void Admiral. So yeah, we're going to have some good fun with that. Got a bunch of ships here. Thanks, Clyde. I gotta print out some more of these bases. I do some green stuff at the bottoms to really secure them in there. And at the top too. But it's going to be fun. I love these ships. Again, I'm doing the 3D printing thing right now, so I'm doing all kinds of stuff. that I probably otherwise would not be doing if I didn't have the 3D printer going on. Maybe you want to find some Wing Commander minis. Did you get your copy of Void? Void Admiral? I'm Void Admiral salesman today. Got GM Cody there. He's all excited. Oh, he's going to start looking for some spaceships or make some. Get it on Amazon. Like it's 6 something. It's one of those games everybody should have on their shelf. Even Zadarok has a copy on her shelf. Right, Zadarok? For those times where you want to have a little space battle with the squirrelage. Yeah, it's like under $7. Get it on Amazon. That and the supplement, same price. It's really good. It takes a lot to impress me with games, but I like this a lot. And it's just so elegant a set of rules. And it's miniatures agnostic, so you can use whatever the heck you want. It's got factions in there that you can use to represent stuff. We have Traveler. I'd never played any sci-fi. Oh, stop it, Sadrock. You know. Travelers, that's an RPG, though. We're talking miniatures here. It makes me scratch my head. Squirrel Hermit he loves miniatures, but he's not a wargamer. He's definitely a miniatures RPG type guy. I don't know many folks like that. They usually are also a wargamer. But to be fair, I know Squirrel's got like Baron's War, for instance, which is a wargame. With a huge following. That game is so popular. The sport of kings indeed, Clyde. I got 2 more bases. I'll probably base 2 more guys. I think I'll make a squadron. I got 3 of these ships. One's already based. So I'll do these and we'll have a squadron of 3. These are all cleaned up and ready to be primed. See, they don't fit on there, so I got to use the green stuff. I drilled the holes too big. After we go through Dawn of Worlds, Baron's War is next. Oh, there you go. Very interested in Baron's War, though. Yeah, I'm like that too with role-playing games. I haven't played many RPGs that are sci-fi. They don't pull me as much for some reason. I'm hoping to change that. But when it comes to wargaming with miniatures, oh man, I love it. Like Dead Zone, for instance. I love that setting. I love that game. 40K, I've always been a fan of. Stargrunt 2, I've always been a fan of those rules. Never played that, however. I played Full Thrust, the sci-fi naval game. Yeah, it's just strange to me. I've been thinking, well, why don't I try playing a role-playing version of 40K? Because there's, Cubicle 7 makes RPGs, a couple of them, based on 40K. Maybe I'll try that. Or Cyberpunk Red. I've been interested in playing that as an RPG. But yeah, I'm new to the RPG side of sci-fi. Speaking of vibing with people, there is a group here that plays one-page rules, OPR. And I like one-page rules, says Byron. But I don't like to play with them, because they do cross-IP clashes, for instance. They do IP clashes? Wait a minute, where'd it go? They do cross-IP clashes. Okay, yeah, that's kind of weird, but still. Xenomorphs versus Star Wars. Rebel Alliance versus some weird toys they bought at Walmart kind of stuff. Yeah, that's not everybody's cup of tea. Not everybody's cup of tea. Especially people that don't really get into narrative and lore. Clyde says Dark Heresy First Edition was pretty great. Same kind of grim, dark mystery and menace as Warhammer Fantasy RPG. Harder to find now, though. I love Traveler. I played it like once. Partially. And I just, this was so great. I love the simple die mechanic to an otherwise very complex subject matter. Science fiction. It can be, anyway. And I thought it was so elegant. I can't talk. Elegant. That I just was taken by that whole system. So, yeah, I'm a huge Traveler fan. All right. So the way I've been putting these on is... Oh, by the way, I got some of this. Not that I'll ever use it, but there you go. Ta-da! Brush cleaner. Let me see. I'm going to use some of this green stuff. I'm going to create a little sausage. I don't want to use too much here because they're very small. So I'm probably not going to use all of this. Just a little tiny. That should be enough. See? Just a little bit. That's all I need. If I need more, I'll go in there. We'll see how far this takes us. Did you ever play Call of Cthulhu? I played Call of Cthulhu. I love it. It's one of the reasons I went into... It's one of the reasons I majored in literature. Lovecraft. There was an expansion that let you have Sisters of Battle as player characters. Yeah, I remember that. That said, Iron Man, I've played very little Call of Cthulhu. I got started in the 6th edition, bought all the 7th edition. It's still on my shelf, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to cut this in half and see if this is going to be enough. Actually, it's probably not going to be enough. Let's take the whole thing. See, there's a big hole in there that's too big. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little sausage. Kind of push it in that hole. This is already too much, so let me take some of it off. Make a little blobula. See the blobula? That's going to be our blobula. This is too much though, so let me take a little more off. Alright, we'll leave that on for now. Could actually make a little trough here. That's probably a good idea. And then we're going to take the we're going to take the base. See what it looks like? And we're going to put it right where the hole is and push it in. Now, we start shaping this little blobula. Like I said, there's still too much. And I'm using my little X-Acto knife for this. Now, because it's sci-fi and it ships, I kind of want to keep the edges nice and straight. Even though you're not really supposed to see this, I'm going to keep it straight. And it's all going to be painted black, so you're not going to see this. But I'm going to keep it all nice and straight, like it's a little part of the ship even. Just shape it. Drag it. And I'll cut off more excess and stuff. Basically what I'm doing is I'm creating a little extra strength to hold the ship on the base. And if it pops off, because this is kind of an adhesive, the screen stuff, but it's not as strong as real glue. But if it pops off, I'm just going to super glue the ship back into its little pod that I'm creating here. So it all works out. Isn't that cool? I got to turn it a little bit, getting crooked. Now this part drives me crazy because you're not supposed to see this, but I'll sit here and I will shape and make it so perfect. It's just ridiculous. Let's take some of it off. It's too much. You don't really need that much. Oh, stop. I don't want to do that now. Oh. I'm going to have to invest in some proper sculpting tools. I know you could buy them. I just haven't used green stuff that much in my hobby life. Really. It wasn't until the RPG Grandma convinced me that I need to get some of this stuff. And I've been using it quite a bit now. Go figure. It's getting a little rough here. Let me try and smooth this out proper. I don't know what I did wrong there. I can't hold it in place. It's so tiny. Yeah. Boy, we got a lot of wind here. You getting a lot of wind out there, squirrel? We got 20 mph winds going on. I gotta hold this up off the camera. I can't see it leaning in like that. You guys will have to trust me. I'll show you the results here in a minute. No tattoo. This stuff dries after about 12, 24 hours. It's solid. There we go. Looks good. That looks good. Yeah, it's got that little green stuff making like a little pod platform for it. It's easy to do, but I'm trying to make it nice and clean, keeping the edges to it, you know, so it almost looks like it's part of the ship. But again, this is going to be painted black, so you won't see it. It's just a thing. Looks good. Make sure he's not crooked. This little stem is kind of leaning a little bit, but that's okay. Da, da, da. There we go. So this is going to be a squadron of 3. These ships. That is kind of off to the side, isn't it? It's all right. Eight miles per hour, gusts of 20 mph. Yeah, it's been windy all day today. Rained the day before all day. Light rain though, nothing major. Just cloudy. tomorrow going to be close to 71 or thereabouts. It's sunny, so we're returning back to it tomorrow. It's awesome. I love this time of year when it's nice. I played a few sessions of Call of Cthulhu, but I had a great time. The GM was a super Lovecraft nerd and really ran a good game. The immersion is key no matter if it's RPG or tabletop. And I'm the same way. Byron. Narrative, it's all narrative. I think every game I play, board games including, it's got to have a good narrative. My mind has to be free to investigate the story and the characters. That's probably why I don't play or don't like to play social games with other people. Like when I get together with Jesse, for instance, there ain't much narrative. There's a lot of distraction, a lot of conversation, and a good time. But all that does for me is it reinforces the idea that solo gaming and social gaming with other people are two different monsters. They're two different experiences, completely. And I happen to like the solo side, which allows me to really get more immersed and more into the narrative. That's what solo gaming can do for you folks. So if you're a fan of narrative-driven games and stories and heroics and the battlefields, I think the best way to experience it is through a solo experience. It's just me. Okay, we're going to make another sausage. Of course, that's me. That's me. Okay, there's a little sausage. If you really don't care, you could just push this in. Maybe take away any of the little excess. You're done. Move on. Seriously, that's all you really need to do. Of course, you guys that use green stuff know this. But I like to shape it and all this other little silly stuff. In fact, let's just leave it like that. Push it in there. Where there's a hole. Of course, if you're a role-playing fan, you already know this. Those games are all about narrative. There are people, and I've attempted to, I'm still exploring, playing solo role-playing games. That is a thing. And I gotta admit, that's a little more challenging. It's really what makes that appealing to me is it has a lot to do with your enjoyment of what's it called? Journaling. If you like to journal, you'd have no problem playing solo RPGs. I like to write. I like the creative process. So I could get into solo RPGs for sure. I'm still experiencing that whole thing. It's all about the narrative and the story. That's really what our role-playing games are about. For some reason, miniatures wargamers, we tend to overlook it. You know, we miss out on that. Not always. I mean, you play campaigns, that's narrative. Alright, let's take off some of this excess. Yeah. Bring out your sausages. Perfect. Beautiful. There he is. He's all done. Sure he's not drooping? I don't like droopies. Alright, so there's a squadron of these three. First fire pit hot dog night is Thursday. Going to be a good one. Yeah? Oh, that sounds good to me. Clyde agrees. Clyde agrees. But then again, East Tennessee has been hot for some time. Is that where you're at, Clyde? Down Tennessee yonder? I have a good friend down in Tennessee. Although she travels all around the country, doing political affiliated work. All volunteer. Awesome. These look great, man. I can't wait to play some Void Admiral. By the way, I've been playing Dead Zone like a madman. I played a game last night. In case you're curious. One, two, three, four, five, six, 7 ships. I got a little extra stuff here which I'll use for something. I'll put it on the back of the base or some damn thing. West Knoxville, Tennessee. Well, how do you do? That's great. I always wanted to go down there. Mainly because of my friend, but I think Kentucky is right north of it, right? Am I thinking right? I'm in Nashville. Oh, how do you like that? Well, there you go. There you go. There you go. Bada boom! I know 2 more people from Tennessee. Down yonder. It's great. Did you hear that, Byron? Mr. Further South. Pensacola, Florida. Individual. Where am I going to put this little sausage? Take a little sausage there. I gotta figure out where that's gonna go. Are you kidding me? Yes. It's a terrible shame that I was muted. Terrible shame because I was telling a tale. I was too. This is awesome. I can't believe my life. All right, we're going to have to back up. We're going to roll on my D100 table. We're going to do a little role playing. You ready for this? And this is verbatim, everything that you guys missed. Okay, you ready for this? GM Cody. Whether he's in the chat still or not, I don't know, but he's going to be our character tonight. And guess what? He enters an old tavern. It's thundering and lightning outside. The weather is a thing. All right? It's late at night. He enters this tavern. I can't believe I have to do this all over again. It's ridiculous. Anyway, he walks into this tavern to get comfort and safety in a place called the Traveler's Inn. Anyone hear of that place before? The Traveler's Inn? Here we are, once again, at the Traveler's Inn. And he's greeted immediately by what looks like a balding, large, girthy type of individual with a big beard, a white beard. Come in inside, and it's storming out there. You look like a traveler and in need of rest. Come towards the hearth and relax yourself. Cody is immediately drawn towards the hearth, which is at the center of this big old tavern. Otherwise, a dark, shadowy chamber surrounds him. Little lights from candles left and right here and there, but in the center is this glowing hearth. It looks inviting. He's drawn towards it. Now, the barkeep, I've already decided, is a big, girthy human man, quite aged and has a big old white beard. I got his voice figured out too. Come on in, this is good for you. Come on, we got food too if you're hungry. He's all done. So, what happens next? Cody looks towards the hearth and sees how inviting it is and begins to approach. His hand immediately falls to his saber hilt. That's the tradition of a warrior, right? Close to your weapons close. And he begins to move towards the hearth. And it's just then, 5 feet away from the hearth, to the left, he sees motion. Slight motion. At first he's taken aback. It looks like a shadow. But clearly, he sees about 3 foot off the ground, sitting on an old wooden stump. Looks to be an individual who's hooded. And as they turn about and draw the cowl down from their head and onto their shoulders and turning, Come sit down. There's room here, over here. Now, we've got an interaction with an NPC. And you know what that means? It means we're going to roll some dice. So somebody, I've already figured the voice, okay? We want some physical traits. I need a D100 roll. In fact, I want a couple D100 rolls. So the first 2 people that respond with D100 rolls will help determine what this NPC is all about, at least physically. Okay? And just so you know, it is a halfling, a young halfling, who happens to be traveling. Halflings do that. They like to travel incognito. Okay? And we got the voice figured out too. But now we got to figure out some personality, because I'm assuming that Cody is going to interact a little bit. As his eyes turn to the right of the hearth, he sees another stump, a little bit bigger, a little bit higher off the ground, made for someone of his stature, for sure. And he begins to approach the stump, and he takes a seat, pulling alongside the hearth, which is warm and comforting. 81, 81, 81, 81. I have to go to my Google Docs. Platinum blonde. Hair so light it gleams like metal. I like this, so I immediately jot this down. Pretty cool. So yeah, this is a platinum blonde. How do you like that, Zadarak? So we know that halfling has some platinum blonde hair. Give me another roll. Clyde Dashing gets a 42. Oh boy. Oh boy. 42. Let's scroll up here to page 1. 42 is... Alright, this won't work because it's raven black hair. So let's look at some of the other results here. We got golden hair, raven black hair, fiery red. Give me another roll, somebody. Don't roll the same close number to 41. It's because I'm rolling twice. I take the raven hair. That's a good one, but 85. All right, 85. Hold on. We'll save any other rolls for future. 85. 85. Don't be hair. It is. It's sandy blonde hair. You're getting all my hair results. What's going on? All right, give me another one. Somebody give me another one. Why am I getting all the hair results? There's only like 6 of them. There is, too. $38. I don't know. That's suspiciously close to 42. I hope it's not hair again. Shouldn't be. 38. Ah, there we go. We've got one here. Check my notes. So that one was gnarled hands. Fingers so twisted from hard work and labor, or something similar, that it's just unsettling. Anyway, that's what this individual is like. So what we have here is a halfling with platinum blonde hair. So they're probably not old. They could be. It's magic, right? But they got this hair that's like a Marilyn Monroe, type of hair. Probably not as fancy, but that color, okay? We got that going on. And then we've got these nasty, gnarly knuckles just exposing themselves. So I'm immediately thinking, this individual probably isn't going to show off his hands too much because it really draws attention, but is quite fond of its hair, okay? We'll say it's a dude, all right? It's a dude to save us some time here. A dude halfling with platinum blonde hair. And as GM... All right, wait a minute. Before we go any further, we know what he looks like. Now, real quick, let's roll on the personality traits. All right? So we're going to take another D100 roll. Let's get that done out of the way because we're going to get some talking here, right? So give me 2 more rolls on personality traits. D100. Let's see what the first two are. Hopefully these won't collide. Giant platinum blonde afro. It could be Iron Man. It could be. 13. Ooh, that's a good one. 13. All right, that is charismatic. We all know what that is. Naturally draws people in with charm and confidence. Charm and confidence. We got to jot that down. That's what this halfling is all about. Why, yes, come, sit down and take yourself up the warm heat of the hearth. It's inviting, isn't it? It's comfortable here, says the halfling. Give me another one. One more. I see a 47 in there. That's really close to 48. No, you've 42. Want to do the 47 or take another roll? 33. Zadarak comes in with 33. Hold on. 33. Hold on, Cody. You're part of this conversation. 33. Flamboyant, it is. Oh, my favorite NPC is the flamboyant one, of course. So this halfling is also flamboyant. Charming and filled with confidence. With platinum blonde hair and horrible-looking knuckles. My God. Do something about that, will you? Where is it? Where did I find it? Flamboyant. Loves attention and expresses themselves in bold and dramatic ways. Sounds like me, right? There you go. As soon as Cody takes seat. Yes, find the heat and the warmth of this wonderful hearth. Who might you be? Would you have a name? It's just then, Cody, that you see, as the cowl is poured down, an amazing set of strands of hair fall out around the face of this small halfling. Quite pleasing to look at, halfling. What do you say, Cody? I'll leave that to Cody, since he's here. How do you reply, Cody? You've had a long journey through the mountains to find this small tavern along the roadside. It's late at night. The thunders and storms are going on outside. You're wet and you're damp. You've been invited into this tavern by an elderly, pot-bellied, balding, bearded tavern keep who invited you in to the hearth. And as you drew close to the hearth, you find yourself in the company of a mysterious halfling who seems quite bold and to the point and good-looking, with flamboyantly luscious curls and platinum color all around his face. I need to know what Cody says. He's a gardener. There you go. Zadarok perfecto. Write that down. Gardener. And he's a dedicated one at that. Gnarly knuckles. I'm a gruff voice. I pull off my feathered floppy hat and give a slight smirk to the halfling. Whipping back my matted dark long hair, I give a slight nod to the halfling. There you go. Clyde says, "Don't them fingers, kid." What did he say there? Because it looks like this to me. What did Clyde say? Don't crack. Oh, what's that word? Yeah, the old crack word. Chat Ninja does not like the word crack. Okay, mystery solved. Anyway. So do you see how that works? Those are some rolls from my table. "Don't mind if I do, sir," says Cody. "Zorano is my name, and what would yours be, little sir?" I sit down and smack off my wet cap on my knee. Snap. "My name is Philanthus. I come from the valley on the other side of this tavern. I like a gentleman like you. You have good taste in clothing, I might say." And as he says that, he kind of flicks his locks backwards, because they are quite long. It's hard not to notice this. You haven't seen a halfling with platinum gold hair like this before. It makes you think and ponder. And just then, you hear a voice break this little conversation or interrupt this conversation. "Well, what would you like to eat? Would you like some ale? How about a nice warm bowl of turnip stew? A favorite around here. Would you like some of that, stranger?" This is coming from the tavern keep. Suddenly, Iron Man descends from the ceiling like a ninja. And he attacks everybody in the place. Roll some dice. Combat breaks out. Iron Man the ninja. He flips off his sandals that turn into deadly weapons, whipping them through the air. "Look out! Get out of the way, Cody!" Ah! Cody takes 10 points of slashing damage. Piercing damage, actually. These are nasty flip-flops. Nasty. He zips him through the air like a rubber band. They double his slings. No, slingshots. They double his slingshots, Iron Man. There you go. Could snap stones at people from 50 yards. Yeah, there you go. Perhaps a coffee table. As long as the turnips aren't mandrakes, it should be fine, says Zedarak. Oh, you guys would make a mighty fine motley crew in my world. You really would. We got Cody, we got Zedarak, Iron Man and his antics jumping from ceiling tops to ambush people with slings and flip-flops. What a motley crew that is. So anyway, that's an example of my charts. Every once in a while, I like to pull out my charts and roll some random things and try and make a little story. It's the way I practice my RPG, right? I am a GM at heart. I'm an eternal GM. Got to keep things going and lively. But yeah, I loved random tables. I've always seen them as prompts, and I love prompts. Prompts. I was talking to Rachel about this, and she said to me, I always wanted to run a sandbox type game where you create stuff on the go and stuff. I couldn't do it though. I'm just not as creative. And I said to her, well, that's why you have random tables. That's why we always had those in the past. You just roll stuff as needed. They're like little prompts. And if you're a writer, you know what I'm talking about when I say prompts. You live for prompts. That's how you come up with stories and characteristics for all kinds of things. And I love it. I love that stuff. And you got to learn how to do that stuff. Tables are there to help you to come up with things. And I don't know. She's a work in progress, I think. Yes, 2 of each for the both of us. As I glance back at the halfling, well, it just so happens I am in need of some employment. We'll have to pick up that story in the next episode. You guys would be great. This sandbox will have a lot of merchant caravans, says Iron Man. The use of a caravan generator is very helpful. Indeed. I love that stuff, Iron Man. You got to know how to improvise and make shit up. I told her that, too. The trick is not to let your players know you're doing just that, right? That's what it's all about. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? That's... Oh, I forgot I was doing this. Damn it. You know what? Hold on a second. I got to get rid of this. I made a mistake here. I had 3 minutes left. I got all caught up in my story there. I forgot I had something to do over here. Whoopsie! But for me, I haven't role played. I haven't run any games since December, since late December, when we ended our 4-year campaign. And I've been taking a break from role playing ever since, and looking at some new games and what's going to be my next campaign. And I already know what that is. It's going to be Hyperborea, thanks to Scroll Hermit. That'll be going on my Sundays, and I'll be looking for more players for that if anyone's interested. Because I don't think my Sunday group is all entirely going to be in on that. Jesse will, Kyle will. It's easier to make it up as you go than to remember the endless details of printed modules. Yeah, that's very true. How you doing, Doug? I saw you sneak in there. Doug Noble, everybody. Any updates on your game? Iron Man, you then need a note taker. That's the main role I play in our games. I took 35 years off from RPGs and it's crazy strange to start jamming again. I think it took a year of running a game to get back in the groove like the old days. That's good. Putting together some walls and graves, then a scenario. Excellent. What roles are you going to play this time, Doug? But we're closing in. I'm going to be working on my next campaign. And some other one-shots I'm going to be running here. I'm going to be doing some Savage Worlds Deadlands. Everybody's quite keen on playing that. Shaco 2. Shaco. That's an interesting version of the game. To be honest, I prefer the first version. Granted, I never played Shaco 2, but the first one I did, and that's a really good game. There's just some things in the second version that just really are odd. I can't remember what the heck it was, but there were some odd things in that game. There's not many Napoleonic rules I didn't really like. Most of them are either my style or they're not. But very occasionally there's a set of rules that just, wow, that almost seems broken. And to me, I think Shaco 2 was a broken game. There was something about it. I don't remember what it was, and I could be wrong. So give it a try, Doug. Get your opinions back to me. I know it does have its fans. What you need to do is break out Empire 3. Get hardcore. You ever see those AI videos of all kinds of wacky things? And they're so ultra realistic. AI videos. But most of them are just weird. I mean, guys with 6 fingers, or they're just unnaturally moving. They're ridiculously. Some of them are just ridiculous what they look like. You know what they remind me of, don't you? They remind me of actual nightmares or dreams. Because it looks so real. And then they start doing some funky stuff like their head is swirling around their head, or they're growing extra arms while they're doing something. If you've ever seen AI videos, you know what I'm talking about. It gets really funky and weird. And to me, that, you know what that looks like? That's like what it is in a nightmare or something. That's what this looks like. We're looking at nightmares. They say life is but a dream. I had Shekel 1 but lost it. It was good, but I was drunk all the time. What? Sound like you fell on some hard times there, Doug. I didn't know that. I got Shekel. Version 1. It's on my bookshelf. I got it sitting there. Yeah, back in the 90s. The physician diagnosis table. All the tremors of the buttocks as a possible disease. Yikes. What does that mean, Iron Man? Clouds drift lazily across the bright blue sky, gently swaying trees. It made a good point about the different tactical doctrines of the different armies of the day. If it is chronic, then I will have to get a job working behind a bar or something. Digga-digga-doo. Con. Spider-Man. When Jake was here over the weekend, he wanted to borrow Spider-Man. Just for the day. And he did. Old Spider-Man over here. And he brought him back. I had to tell everybody in the chats that Spider-Man was on vacation. I've been dealing with tooth problems for the last month. Thursday I go in, the rest of my teeth taken out, all 7. So you got, oh jeez. What, you got dentures or something? You gonna have dentures now? You're gonna have no teeth left, man. That's too bad. Sorry to hear that, man. That's a hell of a thing. Alright, I got this done and out of the way. So anyway, I'm making a lot of tables for that sort of thing on my own for my games, just because I like them. I might import them into some of my Foundry sessions, or just leave mine here and I could access them, maybe if I have a second monitor up or something. Because I have a lot of these tables. Alright, let me get that off the screen. Plunk. Refreshage. Damn it. Alright. 14 of the 100 done. Very good. Yeah, they've been making new dentures. But it takes time for them to be made, like painting miniatures. Well, there you go. What an observation that is. Fantastic. So, folks, there we go. I got my ships based to let them dry and solidify. They got some green stuff going on, holding them on there. And I want to get these painted up as soon as possible so I can actually try out the game. Ideally, I want to have a game with Jake and Jesse. Probably not this weekend, but the weekend, maybe. I don't know. He's going down to Mississippi for a few days. On Wednesday or something. So he'll be gone for the rest of the week. I don't know when I'm going to see him after that. But maybe. But I'm going to be all set. Can have all 15 of these ships painted up. And again, I'm going to try using speed paints on these guys. So we'll give them a zenithal. And then we're going to give them the old speed painteroonie. The one faction, these guys, they're going to be red. I'm going to use that blood red on them. Very dark and menacing. But I need some other colors to separate the red in spots. So I was thinking maybe white. Green would feel Christmassy. Yellow might be a good color. I don't want them to look like corn or something and have brass on there contrasting with the red. Black maybe? I think yellow and white and maybe some black are good colors. I don't want to use blues. No greens. But they're going to be tied together with this dark red, menacing look to them. I don't know what faction I'm going with these guys. Renegades maybe. I don't know. The other faction is these guys. And I see them more like the Imperial faction. The Loyalists, as they're called. And these guys are going to be kind of a grayish black. And again, there's going to be bands of white and yellow breaking up the solid colors to make them stand out. So, yeah, I got a pretty good idea what they're going to look like. Whether or not they look good and it works or not, I'll leave that for you to judge. But that's the route I'm taking. And we'll see how this goes. I'll expand these fleets out, and then I'll add some new factions. Eventually, I'm going to be doing more of a Gothic stuff with the 40k background and the one-page rules, Battle Brothers and Battle Sisters type setting. I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to be using some of the old Battlefleet Gothic ships for that. So there'll be no question what faction these guys are for. That kind of thing. But that'll be afterwards. I want to keep things a little different. Less grimdark with what I'm doing right now. What would be nice is if Mantic finally got out their spaceship game for their Warpath universe. Because that's a thing. That's going to happen. That'll be pretty cool. Then you got all those factions with their fleets and stuff. You could do that now, really. Because most of their factions are, you know, space dwarves and space elves and so on and so forth. Kind of similar. So I guess you could do that anyway, but it'd be nice for Mantic to come out with something. And one more look at this guy. For Dead Zone. Matsuden. That's what they're called. With his ion cannon. How long have we streamed? Been sitting here ranting today. 3 hours and 32 minutes. That's about right. It's a proper star fleet. It looks pretty cool, doesn't it? I got these are 3D prints, by the way, Doug. I've been doing a lot of 3D printing. I found these, I bought the STLs and started printing. Because I just like the look of the ships. I am thinking about buying Microsoft Office. Now that they have a standalone non-subscription version. $150. Yeah. I got rid of Microsoft Office from my computer. Screw them. I've been using Google Documents, Google stuff. It's not a bad price though, $150. Now here's some green stuff I let dry. Never did anything with it. It's hard as a rock. It's like a marble. I don't know why I saved it, but there it is. So they're going to be put up on wires or something? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Wires? Are you talking about my ships? These are for a game. Doug, I'm playing a game with these. See, they got bases just like anything else would. Is that what you're talking about? I'm going to be playing Void Admiral. Wires? I want the power of the buttons that are powered by code. I have years of VBA experience and could make some really great GM tools. Oh, well, there you go. Go for it, man. That sounds great. You're in your mode. Yeah, I'm playing a game with these. There's lots of game rules out there for Starship battles. This one's called Void Admiral. You create your fleets and you can fight battles with them. Campaigns. That kind of thing. They move around on your star field. You measure ranges of their weapons. They have movement rates. Come on, Doug. You know this. This is basic miniatures knowledge. I'm not going to hang them from my ceiling on wires and admire them. Although I probably could. But I'm a gamer. Why would I do that? Gamers play with things. I got the rules on the screen there in the upper left, or on the right. So that's what I'm going to be doing this week. And then I'm probably going to expand my Dead Zone stuff, get another faction. I don't know if I should print stuff or spend a little money and just buy them. I could do both eventually, but so I'm looking around yet. Thinking about doing the forest, the forest. I'm thinking about getting the Forge Fathers next. One of the faction starter boxes. We play a ship battle. We play a ship battle miniatures game of Carter of Mars. The ships are on telescoping car antenna. That sounds pretty interesting. That's pretty cool. I was thinking like a 1-inch wire to prop them into the air. Yeah, okay, I know what you mean. These are on You know, if you could see that. That's how they're put on the bases. And that works for me. Nothing fancy. Telescopic little wires like Iron Man's talking is interesting because you can actually do the third dimension and show elevation and depth. 3D, right? A lot of games don't do that. Or they have some abstract way to put it into the game. But it's always cool to see it. I mean, to me, visually, it looks kind of clumsy and clunky. I've never liked air combat games or space battles that use those telescopic things. Just doesn't look right. They're usually too big and too long. They'd have to be smaller to work for me. I think Wings of Glory did that, but what they did was to show elevation differences, you just simply stack these little dowels on top of each other, which was kind of nifty, and it worked. You go up one level, okay, that's one dowel. You just add it to your base. It was simple to do. That's pretty cool when you can show that. I've seen my friend who was in our club, he did a World War I miniatures game, aerial dogfights, and he had, I don't know what he used, but he had these, kind of like what you're talking about, Iron Man, the antennas, and they telescoped, and they were big. I think he bought them. I think that was a thing somewhere, but he had them, and he had the big 172 scale biplanes, so they were big. And I don't know, that just never interested me. It just looks too clumsy, like they're going to topple over. They're too high. Just, I don't know. But, I don't know, that's just me. Most everybody loved it. Yeah, it'd be fun. My World of One air game used clothespins on dowels. It was a bit distracting, but it sure played well. Smooth running game. I used to get about 20 people per game at the conventions. Yeah, that's like what I was talking about. Same kind of thing. Except there were the little telescopic rods. I think back in the late 90s, there was some particular game that was very popular at the cons. That was a World War I aerial game, and it used these telescopic rods like you're talking. And I think that's what this guy was doing. I forget the name of the game. It's been so long, and I never took interest in it, so I don't know. It's funny how a lot of games, for starship battles in particular, spaceship games, really ignore the third dimension. And if, of all types of games, much like an aerial combat game, how could you ignore that? That's like such a huge aspect to a battle. Like Starfleet battles, that takes into account, because that takes into account everything. It's the ASL of spaceship battles. That's got stuff in there for depth and height and all that stuff. But most miniatures games really don't even discuss it. It's just assumed that they're all fairly the same levels. Your dice rolls balance it out. Maybe you were under them. Maybe you were over top of them with that lucky roll. That kind of stuff. Blue Max. It might have been Blue Max. The old GDW game. I don't know. Like I said, I never took a deep interest in it to explore it. I think Blue Max was a board game, but people used it with those little dowels and miniatures and stuff. I'm thinking it might have been Blue Max because that was pretty popular back then at the cons. Blue Max was the rules I used. Well, there you go. I bet it was Blue Max that I was thinking of, too. Ah, the good old days. Good stuff. I was heavily into the hobby back throughout the 90s. From the mid-90s up through 2003. That whole time period was amazing for me. And that was a good time. For GW, too. GW. AD&D 2nd edition was a thing. I played that. Games Workshop was in their heyday at the time. With 40K 2nd edition. And eventually 3rd in the early 2000s. Warhammer 4th and 5th edition was kicking around. That was great times. Great times, man. I had my game club. Eventually I got into D&D 3rd edition. So that was the heyday. I was having a good time back then. Had a big game club and everything. And then in 2003, I got out of the hobby. I left for a good decade. But I'm telling you, coming back to it has been amazing. And I came back to it in 2012. Seeing how much the hobby changed. I don't know why I'm talking about this again. It's getting late and I'm starting to go in circles here. But it was a good time, you guys will admit. Cody, he remembers. Iron Man, you know what I'm talking about. Zadarok, I'm not sure you do. I don't know, Zadarok, what were you doing back in the 90s? What were you doing? I'm sure the Squirrel Hermitage was doing his thing. Playing AD&D, I'm thinking. 2nd edition. I don't know. That was the time I got into the hobby. And I'm so thankful I got into them. So much cool stuff. Oh, you got into it at the perfect time. Have a good evening and robust blessings, everyone, from Squirrel Hermit and I. All right, Zadarok. I'll see you later. Thanks for joining. I always look forward to you joining in. You and the squirrel. I appreciate it a lot. Good night, Squirrel and Zadarok, says Doug. Yeah, that was the heyday. I made so many great memories from the 90s. Necromunda. Oh, that was a killer game for me. Man of War. Oh, man. And I was fortunate to get together with a bunch of people, one of which was my friend from school that played over the house. Every weekend we'd get together and play Warhammer Quest and Warhammer 5th edition, 4th edition, mostly 5th edition, and 40K. We had so much fun doing that. And to this day, it's probably my greatest memories of the hobby are from that time period. All right, Cody. Always a good time. Have a great night, guys. All right, Cody, you have a good show. Have a good time. And I'll see you again later this week for sure. I appreciate you coming in, man. Take care. Good look on the trenches. Yeah, folks, I'm going to call it here because we're all kind of getting late and disappearing. I got to eat. I got to relax. I might do some 3D printing. Maybe play a game. We'll see. But I'm going to let you guys go. I hope you have a good week. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I appreciate you guys popping into my stream and keeping me company here as I get some things done. I hope you guys got some things done too. Doug, I appreciate you popping in too, man. It's always good hearing from you. Early 90s, was able to play and paint. Played at the Bordino 92 Massive Empire game. Oh, did you? Wow, you took part in an Empire game. Napoleonics to the core, baby. Love it. All right, Doug. Everybody, I'll talk to you again soon. Keep watching your feed to see when I come on. We'll have another 3-hour plus session of maybe painting madness. I was going to say painting madness. I didn't paint it all today. It's weird. I do have to paint these ships, though. So, yeah, you'll see me again. I got to do some painting. For sure. All right, folks. You guys hang in there, and you know why. It's only going to get better. And that's the truth. So, we'll see you again. Take care, folks.